The deranged human grinned maniacally, spittle flying from his lips as he slammed his fist on the council table, the alien dignitaries recoiling in shock and disgust at the violent outburst. They had always whispered that humans were crazy, but this space marine was downright insane. Patrick Russell stood in the grand chamber on Cygnus Prime, the Breen homeworld, his eyes smoldering with rage. The Breen ambassador Mizar regarded him with a sneer of contempt. "You humans, always so emotional, so aggressive. It's exactly why this council has decided your kind cannot be trusted with the power of faster-than-light travel or access to resource-rich worlds. You're simply too unstable." Patrick gritted his teeth. The stakes couldn't be higher. Without FTL capability, humanity would remain trapped in their tiny corner of the galaxy, at the mercy of advanced alien empires who saw them as primitive upstarts. He launched into an impassioned plea, arguing how human ingenuity and courage had brought them to the stars, how they deserved the right to explore and expand like any other spacefaring race. But his words fell on deaf ears. Mizar scoffed, painting mankind as reckless warmongers. In the end, the Council voted to restrict Earth's access to FTL and key planetary resources. Patrick trembled with barely suppressed fury as Mizar smiled coldly. "Fighting this edict is futile, human. It will only lead to your species' destruction." Returning to Earth, Patrick found his people bitterly divided. Some urged capitulation to avoid a war they couldn't hope to win, but others rallied to Patrick's side, ready to resist this tyrannical alien council, no matter the cost. As the specter of total war loomed, rumors spread of the mighty Breen battle fleets massing to enforce the blockade of Earth. Patrick grimly drilled his marine forces and prepared for the greatest battle humankind had ever faced. All of Earth watched and prayed as they readied to prove themselves to a hostile galaxy that branded them insane. They would show the council races what human insanity was truly capable of. Patrick Russell crouched in the shadows of the Breen military installation, his heart pounding in his chest. The harsh, uninhabitable moon stretched out before him, a bleak landscape of jagged rocks and swirling dust. Beside him, his squad of elite Marines checked their weapons, their faces grim with drive. They had infiltrated the heavily guarded compound using captured Breen scout ships, slipping past the perimeter defenses like ghosts. But now, the real fight began. "Remember the objective," Patrick whispered into his comlink. "We need that tech if we're going to stand a chance against these bastards." With a silent nod, the team moved out, hugging the walls and darting from cover to cover. The first Breen soldiers fell before they even realized they were under attack, their broken bodies crumpling to the ground. But the element of surprise couldn't last forever. Alarms blared and security drones swarmed in, their metallic carapaces glinting in the dim light. The Marines fought back with everything they had, their pulse rifles spitting fire as they pushed deeper into the installation. In the chaos of battle, Patrick heard a cry of pain over the comm. "I'm hit!" It was Lieutenant Alex Novak, his second-in-command and closest friend. Patrick's blood ran cold as he saw Alex stumble, clutching his side. He rushed to his side, dragging him into cover as the Breen closed in. "You need to get out of here, Alex," Patrick urged, his voice raw with emotion. "Take the squad and go. I'll finish this." Alex shook his head, his face pale but determined. "No way in hell, Patrick. We started this together. We'll finish it together." But Patrick was already moving, his eyes hard as steel. "That's an order, Lieutenant. Get our people out. I'll see you on the other side." With a final nod, Alex rallied the remaining Marines and began fighting their way back to the extraction point. Patrick watched them go, then turned and sprinted towards the central control room, his heart hammering in his chest. The room was a maze of alien technology, but Patrick's eyes locked onto the device they had come for. He snatched it up, stuffing it into his pack, then spun as a door hissed open behind him. A dozen Breen soldiers poured in, their weapons trained on Patrick's chest. He dove for cover, feeling the searing heat of plasma bolts sizzling past his head. He was cut off, alone, and outnumbered. But Patrick Russell had never been one to accept defeat. His mind raced, searching for a way out, when his eyes fell on the stolen tech in his pack. With a grim smile, he pulled out the components and began frantically rewiring them, his fingers flying over the alien circuitry. The Breen were closing in, their footsteps echoing in the confined space. Patrick worked feverishly, sweat pouring down his face, until finally, the device began to hum with power. He looked up as the Breen loomed over him, their weapons glowing with deadly intent. With a final defiant roar, Patrick banged his hand down on the makeshift detonator. The world went white as the EMP blast tore through the installation, shorting out weapons, frying circuits, and sending the Breen reeling. In the sudden silence, Patrick leapt to his feet and sprinted for the hangar bay. Skidding around a corner, he found a single Breen fighter still intact, its systems struggling to reboot. With a flying leap, Patrick hurled himself into the cockpit, his hands flying over the unfamiliar controls. The ship shuddered to life just as the installation began to shake itself apart, secondary explosions tearing through its structure. Patrick hit the thrusters and rocketed out of the hangar, the shock wave of the blast nipping at his heels. As he soared away from the dying moon, Patrick allowed himself a moment of grim satisfaction. They had struck a blow against the Breen and bought humanity a fighting chance. But he knew this was only the beginning. The Galactic Council would retaliate swiftly and without mercy, and back on Earth, the drumbeats of war were growing louder with each passing day. Patrick gripped the controls tighter, his mind focused. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he would face them head on. For his squad, for his people, for the future of humanity among the stars. No matter how insane the galaxy thought them to be, humans would never stop fighting for their right to exist. And Patrick Russell would be there, leading the charge, until the very end. Patrick's fist slammed into the console, denting the metal. Damn it! How could this happen? His team huddled around a flickering holographic display, faces grim as they absorbed the intel scrolling across the screen. Lieutenant Novak's voice crackled over the comm. Sir, we've confirmed it. General Chase has gone rogue. He's working with the Breen. The revelation hit like a punch to the gut. William Chase, decorated war hero, Patrick's former mentor, now a traitor to humanity. What's his endgame? Patrick demanded. Intel suggests he aims to overthrow Earth's government, Novak replied. Turn us into some kind of conquering empire. Patrick's mind raced. This changed everything. No wonder the Breen had seemed one step ahead at every turn. They had inside information from Chase and his turncoats. We need to move fast, Patrick ordered. Prep for immediate assault on that Breen outpost. We end this now. Hours later, Patrick's strike team breached the outpost's perimeter. Alarms blared as they fought their way through twisting corridors. Plasma bolts sizzled past Patrick's head as he dove for cover. He returned fire, downing a Breen guard. But these weren't just Breen. He spotted human faces among the enemy, wielding alien weaponry. Chase! Patrick roared, spotting his former mentor across the chamber. Chase sneered, firing a burst from his Breen plasma rifle. You're too late, Patrick. Humanity's future lies in conquest, not cowering before alien overlords. A three-way firefight erupted. Patrick's loyalists versus Chase's renegades versus confused Breen troops. Chaos reigned as shots crisscrossed the room. Patrick fought his way toward Chase, but the general was already retreating. You can't stop what's coming, Chase called out as he fled. An explosion rocked the facility. Chase had triggered some kind of self-destruct. Fall back, Patrick ordered. His team extracted as the outpost crumbled, leaving only smoldering ruins. But Chase had escaped, and he'd destroyed the computer core, erasing any leads. Days of relentless pursuit followed. Patrick's team chased whispers and rumors across the stars. Finally, they picked up Chase's trail, leading to a remote human colony. As they approached in stealth, Patrick's blood ran cold. The colony was crawling with Chase's renegade troops, and they were rounding up civilians, hostages. Patrick's finger hovered over the comm, ready to call in an assault, but Chase's voice cut through first. Stand down, Patrick, or I start executing hostages. You have 1 hour to surrender. Patrick gritted his teeth. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and now Chase held all the cards. To make matters worse, long-range sensors picked up incoming Breen ships. Mizar wasn't about to let his new human pawns slip away. Patrick found himself trapped between two ruthless forces, with innocent lives hanging in the balance. Whatever choice he made, blood would be spilled, but he had to find a way to expose Chase and Mizar's alliance, to show the galaxy the truth. He took a deep breath, weighing impossible options as the clock ticked down. Patrick's mind raced as he assessed the dire situation. With hostages in danger and Breen forces closing in, he knew they needed a bold move. He gathered his team in a secluded corridor of the colony. "We're going to rig the fusion reactor to blow," Patrick announced grimly. His Marines exchanged worried glances. Lieutenant Novak spoke up. "Sir, that could kill everyone here." "Exactly," Patrick nodded. "It's a bluff, but it has to be convincing." They moved swiftly, infiltrating the reactor control center under cover of darkness. Patrick's fingers flew over the alien controls, bypassing safeguards and overriding fail-safes. Warning klaxons blared as the reactor core temperature began to climb. With the trap set, Patrick opened a comm channel to Chase. The general's face appeared, twisted in a sneer. "It's over, Chase," Patrick growled. "Release the hostages and surrender, or I'll blow this whole colony to hell." Chase laughed mockingly. "You're bluffing, Russell. You don't have the stones." "Try me," Patrick snarled, his finger hovering over the detonation command. Chase's eyes narrowed, weighing the threat. Then he barked orders to his men. "Take that reactor, now!" Gunfire erupted as Chase's renegades stormed the facility. Patrick's Marines held the line, plasma bolts sizzling past their heads as they returned fire. The air grew thick with ozone and smoke. Patrick watched the reactor readouts climb higher into the red. This was no longer just a bluff. If Chase didn't back down soon, they'd all be vaporized. Suddenly, new alarms blared. The Breen strike force had arrived, their ships descending on the colony like vengeful gods. "Cease fire!" Patrick roared into the comm. "Chase Mizar, I'm offering a deal." There was a tense pause before both leaders responded cautiously. "I'll deactivate the reactor and surrender the facility," Patrick continued. "But only if the Breen extract immediately and take Chase into custody. Otherwise, none of us walk away from this." Mizar's alien features contorted with rage, but he ground out a reluctant agreement. Chase, realizing he was cornered, slumped in defeat. As the hostages were freed and Chase's forces disarmed, Patrick enacted the final phase of his plan. A hidden virus, uploaded by his tech specialists, surged through the colony's systems. When the Breen ships attempted to lift off, they found themselves suddenly grounded, weapons offline. Patrick allowed himself a grim smile as he contacted the furious alien commander. "New deal, Mizar. You and Chase surrender for trial on Earth, or your ships stay right where they are." In the tense standoff that followed, Patrick could almost see the wheels turning in Chase and Mizar's minds as they realized how thoroughly they'd been outmaneuvered. With no other choice, they agreed to Patrick's terms. As Earth authorities took custody of the prisoners, Patrick finally allowed himself to breathe. But he knew this victory was just the beginning of a much larger conflict. The galaxy was about to change, and humanity would need to be ready for whatever came next. Patrick Russell stood on the bridge of the Defiant, his eyes fixed on the swarm of Breen warships filling the view screen. The enemy fleet stretched as far as the eye could see, a metal tide ready to crash down on Earth. "Status report," he barked. His tactical officer's voice was grim. "Sir, we're detecting over 5,000 Breen vessels. Our own fleet stands at just under 800 ships." Patrick's mind focused. The odds were worse than he'd feared. He opened a channel to the entire human fleet. "This is Admiral Russell to all ships. You know what we face. The Breen seek to crush us, to snuff out the light of human freedom forever. But we will not go quietly into the night. We are humanity. We are the mad ones, the dreamers, the fighters. And today, we show the galaxy what that truly means. As he spoke, alarms blared. A junior officer called out, "Sir, we're detecting a massive energy spike from the Breen flagship." Patrick's eyes narrowed. "Evasive maneuvers! All ships, break formation and—" His words were cut off as a blinding beam of energy lanced out from the Breen dreadnought, carving through space. 3 human cruisers vanished in silent explosions. "Return fire!" Patrick roared. "Hit them with everything we've got!" The space between the fleets erupted in a firestorm of energy beams, missiles, and plasma bolts. Human ships darted and weaved, their captains pushing their vessels to the limit in desperate attempts to avoid the overwhelming Breen firepower. On the Defiance bridge, consoles exploded in showers of sparks as enemy fire found its mark. Patrick gripped his chair, shouting orders as the ship shuddered under the onslaught. "Sir!" his comms officer yelled over the chaos. "Incoming transmission from Earth!" The view screen flickered, revealing the stern face of General Hargrove. "Russell, we've got a situation. A group of corporate bigwigs just tried to surrender to the Breen. We've got them in custody, but they spilled their guts. They've been selling us out for years, weapons tech, military intel, everything." Patrick's blood boiled. "Those treasonous bastards, what else?" Hargrove's expression darkened further. "One of them gave up the location of Black Site Omega, the bioweapons research facility." "Damn it!" Patrick smacked his palm on the armrest. "Mazar can't get his hands on those weapons. I'm taking the 3rd Fleet to intercept." "Good hunting, Russell," Hargrove nodded. "We'll hold the line here as long as we can." As the transmission cut out, Patrick barked orders to his fleet. A detachment of ships broke away from the main battle, racing towards the coordinates of Black Site Omega. They arrived to find a Breen strike force already engaging the facility's meager defenses. Patrick's voice rang out across the comm channels. "All ships, engage the enemy. Marine teams prepare for immediate deployment. We cannot let those bioweapons fall into Breen hands." The space around the Black Site erupted into furious combat. Human ships threw themselves at the Breen vessels, fighting with reckless abandon. On the facility's surface, Lieutenant Alex Novak led a team of Marines in a desperate defense against waves of Breen assault troops. Patrick watched the battle unfold from the Defiance bridge, his heart heavy as he saw human ships and lives snuffed out one by one. But they were buying time, holding the line against impossible odds. Suddenly, alarms blared across the ship. Patrick's eyes widened as he saw readouts from the planet's surface. "My God," he whispered. "They have activated the bioweapons." Through the view screen, he watched as a sickly green mist began to spread across the facility. Breen soldiers collapsed, their bodies twisting and liquefying. But the human defenders were not spared, caught in the same horrific cascade of mutation. Patrick's hands shook as he opened a channel to Novak. "Alex, get out of there now." But there was no response, only the sound of screams cut short by gurgling silence. As the bioweapon continued its grisly work, Patrick could only stare in stunned horror. The Breen threat was neutralized, but at a terrible cost. Earth's last desperate weapon was lost, along with the brave souls who had given everything to keep it out of enemy hands. With a heavy heart, Patrick ordered his remaining ships to regroup. They had won this battle, but the war was nowhere near the end. And now, they would face Mizar's full might with nothing left but their own unconquerable drive.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel. And for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.